It's your host of Freedom to Fight, Anura Mathis, and I have another episode for you. You can tell I'm super tired, but I wait to the very end to record my intro and my closing, and I wait. I have a process, so let me just say that. Um, anyway, I posted a video just a few hours ago, a recap of my episode 3 with McDojo Life, Rob Ingram. And I think I'm going to start doing that for each episode as long as you guys like it, um, to kind of share more of my opinions and my stories. And I will for sure do that with this episode because my guest has a very rich life, a very um, rich with experiences, and I can relate to a lot of his experiences. So I will make sure to make a recap video for that as well. But without further ado, I would like to introduce my guest. Dewey is a part of CholoMMA. He is a part of a trio. So there's Toker and there's Loco as well. And I'm super thrilled to be connected with them because I'm fans of their work. And it's amazing to be connected with people that inspire me, and they do. So um, I'll go ahead and shut up and present this episode to you. Episode 4 of season 3, Dewey of CholoMMA. Thanks for listening. Hi, everybody. It's your host of Freedom to Fight, Anura Mathis, and I have a new guest on my show. I'm so happy we finally get to do this. I'm not going to look at my camera. I'm going to look at you. It's all good. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience, and we will get started.
Simone, thank you for having me. I'm Dewey, and I'm with Cholo MMA. A lot of people see me. I'm the uke, so I'm the recipient, and Toker is the
Oh, okay.
co, so he's the giver, and we have a lot of fun shooting the content. Yeah, thank you for taking time to ask me questions. I
Yeah, I'm
appreciate
I'm
it.
really looking
Yeah.
for I'm really looking forward to it. Say what you're say those words again. What's the recipient?
So it's Japanese terminology, but
Mm.
it would be like when he's showing the techniques, I'm his partner, so he's showing the techniques on me. In Japanese,
Mhm.
there's terms for that. So he would be the Tori, and I think it's Tori. So that's the giver, and then I'd be the Uki. So it's Uke, and it means recipient. So I'm receiving what he's showing. It's pretty cool. It's deep.
I didn't know
Oh,
that at all. I'm still learning anyway, but that's really dope. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's
Well,
cool.
welcome to my show. I'm so
Well,
glad we get to do
thank
this.
you. Thank you so much. Freedom to fight. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I value freedom and I value the
Okay.
freedom to fight and say what I want to say. So,
Hey.
um yeah, yeah, that you're my um you'll be my 4th episode for
Yeah,
season 3. Yeah.
very nice.
Um and I don't know if you saw my post calling my guest
You
out.
calling people out.
Uh,
I saw you. You're like, hey, I'll fight anybody I interview. I'm like, wait a minute. Is she saying something? I'm the next interviewee.
Mhm. You were included
I'm
in
ready.
this.
I'm always strapped. So I just gotta put on my belt and my gear. We could do
Listen,
grappling, striking with MMA. We can mix.
all of that. All of it. I'm down. I'm trained. I'm ready to go.
Where you from? Where you really from? Like,
I'm I'm from Texas.
okay,
So
okay.
so
Text. I had to ask if I get in the ring. I gotta know who your peoples are.
yeah, Texas, born and
That's
raised.
amazing.
So
Okay.
where are you from? Are you from Atlanta?
So I'm from the East Coast. I like to say I'm from the East Coast. I grew up a little bit in New York, Manhattan. I traveled down to Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and I ended up here in Atlanta.
Hmm.
So I've been here since '96, and Atlanta's great for just creating, for networking, for raising kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many
It's,
how many kids do you have?
so I got three and one on the way. So four.
Oh,
I have four.
that
Yes, and we're expecting it any day now. So that's a big news.
wow.
Any
Yeah, that's
day.
amazing news. I'm glad that you were willing to come on my show knowing you have a kid on the way, but, so I feel extra special.
Well, I have to talk about these things with you, because I do jujitsu. I'm training probably four times a week. So
Yeah.
I get a lot of lessons and sometimes twice a day on those days. So it's a lot. And then I balance it
Mhm.
all out with kids. But it helps me so much. So
Yeah.
I can't
I
quit.
right, right. I was training excessively when I was trained. I sustained an injury, a concussion, but before that, I was training almost every day, barely any
Okay.
rest days, 3 to 4 hours a day, just like
Wow.
and I was training in jujitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, and I just,
Hmm.
a lot of people
Everything. So you're a
everything.
martial artist. So see now I don't know. I think I might pass on that match. Yeah, you start
Come
naming off
on.
when you start naming off different, arts, martial arts, and mm, yeah, I'll pass on that.
It can be you and your team. I'll take
Right,
all at
right. It
once.
could be
All of
three
y'all.
people. That's amazing. Yes,
It's a ton of
That's how we
fun.
roll. That's how we roll. We usually it's a lot of it. So
You got skills. You have a purple belt, I saw
yeah,
you
yeah.
posting. We're good, but if you're too scared, that's fine as well.
I think that's what it is. Just the more I think about it, I think I might have just, you know, I opened my mouth too early. I should have done some research on it.
You should have.
So
Well,
how long were you not training?
um, so oh no. I've kind of trained on and off since my injury. Like
Right.
I was hospitalized the end of October of 2022, but I was like training again November 2020. I kind of rushed it a little bit, but thankfully I went to a Gracie gym, and
Mm,
both the husband and wife that owns the Gracie Jiu Jitsu Grand Junction, they both have come on my show, and
mm.
they just opened a new location, but they really, like, took care of me and made sure that I was
Oh,
safe in that
yeah.
environment, and I've toured other gyms since then, but I'm not regularly training because 'cause I'm still looking for a gym, and I've moved
Oh.
around a lot, so and I think I might move again, so I don't know. I don't know when
You
I'll
just
get
love
back
that
to that.
freedom, huh? You just
Yeah.
love that freedom.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
need it. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, if we're not gonna fight, which is okay, maybe we could do some demonstrations, you
Yes.
do they're my favorite thing. I love your content.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we try to educate and entertain and uplift, like just really encourage people to get on the mats and train. And
And we're back.
we're back. Yeah, I was just saying that jujitsu is it's really empowering. It gives you like control, and then no one can really, like you earn it. And once you have the information, it's there and it's yours to
Yeah,
use to defend yourself and your family, and just to be comfortable in your skin. You know,
yeah.
yeah, just to be safe. I like being
There's
safe.
Yeah, yeah, it does definitely give me confidence and security, like safety and security. Like I know I can defend myself, but it also like empowers me in my life in general. So like just the philosophy behind jujitsu. But
Right.
I want to ask you, like, how did you get started in BJJ? Like, why did you take this path? How did that happen?
Okay. Okay. So rewind. Uh, Prior to COVID, like right around 2019, I was pursuing a lot of acting. So I was on set a lot, like all the time, doing background work, feature stuff. I was like talking to people and they're like, you should do stunts. It pays, and like you get paid. And the stunt people would come and they were like, oh, there's the stunt guys. So I'm like, so I started talking to some guys and I met on set of a feature film. I met Michael and he plays Toker on
Mhm.
our production. And he said, "Would you come to my house? We're gonna shoot some stunt stuff, like some." I'm like, "Great! I got to learn this stuff. I want to learn how to fall and jump." And so after set that after we finished that production, we meet up later on, like a week later, and he's doing these moves on me, and I don't know what he's doing. And he's like, "Don't worry about it." He's like, and then his roommate's there with the camera. And he's like, all right, so I'm gonna show you this technique. And I'm like, what is he doing? And then all of a sudden I'm like, and he's like, yeah, you just tap, just tap. If you feel pressure, tap. So after that, I hit him up and I was like, dude, what were you doing on me? What is that? And he's like, it's
Alright, so
jujitsu.
I got this full omoplata right here. So what I'm gonna do is create this fool. I'm gonna reach under my leg, grab his flannel right here, pull it, lunge over. So I dump this fool over. This leg comes over the top, squeeze tight, finish the armbar. I call that one the omoplata armbar. Try it.
And he's like, you should try it. And I'm like, okay. So we kept shooting the content. We did it for like a month. People really started liking it. And one of those people was Local Fighter, the guy on the third guy, our third wheel. He's amazing. He does all everything. So he's also an actor, and we met on set of another film. And
Interesting.
Mike's like, hey, this is Local Fighter. And he's a jujitsu during the time. He was a jujitsu purple belt, I think, or blue belt. I don't remember what he was.
Mhm.
This is like 4 years ago. And anyways, make a long story short, he's like, you guys need to start shooting the content again. People love it. And I'm like, okay. But he tells me, he's like, and you need to train. He said, if you don't train, he said, people are gonna know you're faking it. And I'm like, what are you talking
Oh.
about? I'm an
Mm.
actor, I'll just fake it. He's like, oh no, not jujitsu.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, well, dang. So I looked into it and it's pretty pricey and it's really hard. So I was like procrastinating for a while. And I'm still Dewey, I'm still DUI, I'm like partying, I'm drinking, I'm having a good time, living life. I'm an actor. The hardest thing I do is probably I have to memorize a bunch of lines.
Sure.
Man, when I tell you, my wife found this gym near our home. And I walked the first time, she was like, you should join. And it was for my kids, right? But it was really for me. And we signed the kids up. I got signed up. It was my birthday present, right?
Aw.
And my birthday is in December. So this is like a New Year's resolution thing for me. Plus, we're just getting ready to shoot this content and it's jujitsu based. So I don't know, I gotta learn. So I
Yeah.
walk into the dojo and my professor at the time, the guy at the time, he's like, so you want to train jujitsu? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, have you ever trained any martial arts before? And I thought back, I was like, no, no, never. He's like, you don't have any experience? I'm like, no. I said, I trained Taekwondo when I was a kid. My mom put me in for like a week. He's like, nah. So, so, so he gives me a loaner gi. I get on the mats. I do a bunch of drills. The first day was cool. When I went back, I think the first time I just puked like so much.
Oh.
I just threw up everywhere. Yeah. And then like for a week after that, when we would do live rolls, like after I got, good where I can escape, he like I think it was a month after, not even a week, but when I started rolling, I would just tap the pressure. It was so bad. Everything
Mm.
just bad. But that's how my jiu-jitsu, that's how I started jiu-jitsu because of Mike and Junior, CholoMMA, the guys, the homies, they just pushed me to do it. They said, you got to do it, man. It's life-changing. I
Yeah.
didn't believe them. And then I got bit, like, I'd say probably midway to my white belt, through my white belt journey, I competed. I did a local tournament. I lost, but I didn't get submitted.
Sure.
And I fought hard, and I felt good, and it was exciting. And I've never competed ever before in my life. And I did it as an adult, you know. And my kids, they were my family, they're always supporting me. They're so supportive. They were there. And then and yeah, I got my blue belt like really like a year and a half in to my jiu-jitsu, which is, it's not the fastest, but it's not, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I competed again, and then I got gold, and I was like,
Nice.
yay! That's why I did the videos with the medal, because I want people to be encouraged, even if it's just a local tournament, even if it's just a new breed or a naga. If you win gold, it's a big thing, and you
Yeah.
should celebrate that and be proud of that. So I showed my kids, and they were like doing videos with me, and it was so funny. I would take it everywhere. I would go to church with it, and I'd go to the barber shop. Like, what's that? They're cutting my hair, and I'm like, yeah, it's my medal.
We are not the same, man. I've been through some strange things. I done felt the pain, man. Turned it to a pain, eh? We all know that things change, but I ain't complaining. Only way to stay sane, but it's hard to maintain. I be low when I'm.
I might do the same thing if
You
when I
should. You win
compete. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yes, be proud. Yes, yes. Parade it around. Let people know. Tell the story, and motivate others to do the same. Get out
Yeah.
of our comfort zones. And I think that's
That-
why it's so good for me, because it's challenging. You know, and then everything else is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 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 had the same effect on me, and that's kind of the idea behind my show is to encourage people to do things that are hard and to also a trauma therapist, and so I encourage people to face their traumas, and
Yeah.
that the only way through something is through it. It's not around it. It's not getting underneath it, or it's going through it, get through
Yes.
hard things.
Yes. I agree.
Well, yeah.
You want to
Um,
level up. You want to keep going to the next level and the next level. And the only way you're going to do it is if you do hard things. Do those
Mhm.
things you're avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about my professional background here in a little bit, but I'm glad that they encouraged you to get involved in that and that you're legit. You're one of us.
I am legit now. Yay. Yeah. Before, you can see the very first videos we started doing. You can see the look of terror on my face because I didn't know what he was going to do, what was coming next. I just knew it was going to hurt. But
So funny.
now I don't even get injured. I guess I'm so in shape that when we shoot the content, it's just like more training, if that makes, it's like I'm so excited to meet with the guys to shoot because I know I'm going to learn some cool techniques from them.
Mhm.
And we all train, like we all have families. We all train at different gyms. So we
Mm.
get what we kind of get what we learn from everywhere and put it all together. And that's Cholo MMA. It's a part of who we are. It's our culture. It's a lifestyle. It's our culture. I was raised on the East Coast. Michael was raised on the West Coast. And I was involved with gangs as a young teenager. So I was, I have a whole like
I want to know
troubled
about
youth.
everything.
It's just
Yeah.
troubled youth doing bad things, just being delinquent.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mike was in the West Coast growing up, so he has a lot of culture from LA and out west California, and then Junior, he's from a third world. He's from Costa Rica, and he's seen gangs in South America, and he knows just a lot about the culture. And cholo, I don't know if a lot of people know, but cholo is a word that was used for us, a derogatory word, and we took that word and we switched it around, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's endearing now. It's something that we call each other, and it's amazing how, you can't keep us down. We're gonna always find a way to flourish,
Yeah.
And the culture is such a beautiful culture. Like, you got the flannels with the guys, the girls, they do the makeup and the hair and the shoes, the socks. So yeah, it's cool.
Y'all are always wearing socks in your videos. I've noticed
The high
that.
socks, yeah. So let me tell you about the high socks. The high socks is amazing because so many people can relate. Like, a lot of people wear the I guess knee socks, or tube socks, whatever you want to call them. But it's really a part of that culture. It really is. And there's so many things that we can do with it, like so many play on words and so many just things that we remember from growing up. Our families and our cousins. Hey, sock check, fool. Like, what? You want to see my socks? For what? Yeah.
It's a nice added feature because we don't wear socks in jiu-jitsu or barefoot, and
right.
it's a really nice little added thing. But I didn't know that about cholo. I didn't know there was a derogatory history. I know what it is now, but
Right.
I mean, I'm from
I'll
Texas.
send you some stuff. I'll send you some stuff I put together. I just do a lot of research. So I'll put some stuff together. I'll forward it to you. You'll like it. Yeah. We really have to understand who we are, where we come from, to know kind of where we're going and what's going on, because we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I should ask, like, is cholo like the N-word? Like, is that like
No, it means
meaning like there
it
was like the
means
derogatory history and we're
so
taking the word
now
back. Yeah.
so now
Mhm.
it's used as gangster. So if I
Mhm.
say, hey cholo, I'm saying, hey gangster. So our name is Gangster MMA.
Yeah.
Cholo. But if you look it up in the dictionary, it was used by the Spaniards to for a mestizo. Like, a mestizo would be someone that's not pure blood. They're mixed.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
they would have Indian, Native American, So they wouldn't be the Spaniards. They were really royal about the blood, was really the bloodline.
Yeah.
So if you had a cholo, essentially he wasn't authentic. He was a little less than even the mestizo, than the Native American.
I
If that
see.
makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah.
he would be at the bottom of the totem pole. Yeah. Yeah, the
I mean,
cholo would.
there's just a lot of similarities in Black history. I mean, just there's colorism and like real Black and like like you have to talk about you have to sound Black to be Black. No, I'm Black. I'm Black every day of my life. Like just because I have several degrees doesn't mean I'm not Black. The world sees me as Black. So.
Right. Same with me. I'm Dominican, so my family's from Dominican Republic. And again, Dominicans like, vamos para Nueva York. Everybody's going to New York. So we get to New York and it's cold. And we're from the islands. And we're like, what? It's this white snow. So we go somewhere else. Some stay, most stay. But we went to Florida because it's hot. It's
Yeah.
like the Caribbean, it's near the equator.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's kind of like how we were brought up to think, when you get to Nueva York or you get to America, you got it made. No, absolutely.
Just kidding.
Now the work begins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So finding our way with my parents not speaking the language and me having to act, even as a young kid, as an interpreter for bills and bill collectors and whatever it was, it teaches you a different thing. It shows you a different perspective, how we live and how immigrants, and not just Hispanic, but immigrants in general, they pay double. They really do. They pay double. They have to work harder,
Yeah.
and they do get taken advantage of, and they live in really bad living conditions, and all of these things we have to overcome.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes years, sometimes decades, sometimes 2, 3 generations to break these curses, and we shouldn't have to work so hard for these things. Should be just ours,
Yeah.
for our kids, for our grandkids. But jujitsu, to me, has given me an insight into how the world can be if we all did the hard things and put forth effort and
Mhm.
not push blame and shifted the blame and took accountabilities for our action and took responsibility for ourselves and others. Like it's possible,
Yeah.
here on earth, you know, to have, you know, heaven on earth. You know,
Yeah.
I think we can do it. I think as a people we can do it. I think it's
I
time. It's
I
time.
agree with you. Yeah.
I
That
I want to see streets of gold. You know, I want to see them. I want to walk on streets of gold. We can get all the gold melted, make some streets around here,
yeah.
and have everybody come take selfies and hang out, and we did that. You know, we can do all kind of things. Yeah.
The saying is as a black person working twice as hard to get half as far as your white counterpart, and and still being discriminated against, and it's just it's just a constant thing, but it's what you give to it, like all of these structures are in place, but you get to decide how much you're going to play into that role. Like, I'm not a slave, so I'm not going to act like a slave,
Right.
and being in a incredibly white
Mhm.
neighborhood, white city, white state. I'm
Right.
in Colorado. Like,
Oh, very nice.
people ask me all the time, like, why did you choose that? Because I love the mountains, and I,
That's amazing.
I need that, to be kind of stable and centered. But there are so many people here that have
Yeah.
tried to interfere with my, me coming up,
Mhm.
people that are doing it now in my neighborhood, my neighbors, my apartment complex, people trying to get in the way, watching me online. They're getting on my social
Right.
medias to see who is she, why does she deserve to live here? Why does she do?
Right.
Well, because I worked hard for it,
That's right.
like
Yes.
I went to school for a long time,
Yes.
to get a,
That's
a
it.
bachelor's degree is at least 4 years. To get a
Yeah.
master's degree is 2 to 3 years. I went 3 years. I did 2 internships in
Wow.
my master's degree. I'm an EMDR therapist, so I did an additional certification. And I just finished another certification in CAP, which makes me a ketamine assisted psychotherapist provider.
Um,
I I work on myself.
Oh
I work
yes.
for the things that I have, and I don't have to prove that to anybody.
Right.
I've got the
Right.
credentials, so
That's amazing.
I
Well,
appreciate
keep
it,
being great. They keep doing
Yeah.
stuff like this because this opens up the door for a lot of people like us, like especially people that are training. I think balance is key because again, we're going back to what we were saying. I was working out a lot and training a lot. And so it gets to where, you know, you like what you're doing and you're doing it so well. But again, we have lives outside of training and
Mhm.
outside of jiu-jitsu. I have children and one on the way. So yeah, I look at like balance, 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 balance. Figure out a schedule that works, figure out a gym that's nearby, figure out a way you can get your training in without having to commute so far, or even do some stuff at home.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really balancing it. And then after that, then you kind of get into that groove. Because if you're not training, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you're training too much, if you're not competing, if you're not a gym owner or whatever, I think you're doing yourself a disservice too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's balance, because if you're doing too much one way or the other, then you know uh, you'll be more focused on one and not the other. If that, I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but
You are.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
saying that you're speaking to old me, because that's what
okay,
I was just excessively training. And
right,
it's because I didn't have a good understanding of what that balance looked like. I was
mhm,
just trying to appease the people. I'm a black woman. I'm a
right,
woman and I'm a black woman. So
right,
there's not many people like me here. And
right.
there were not very there I was the only woman in my gym that was training as hard as I was
Oh
and getting
wow,
promoted. And so I
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I got all this attention on me. I got it. This is
yeah,
what it looks like to get ready for competition." And like
oh yeah,
then I got a concussion. Then I was in the hospital. Like so
oh wow,
there's no way to you cannot push yourself that hard. You have to have
yeah,
enough time for rest and balance. Yeah.
yeah. I agree. I agree. Mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that now.
mental health. Yeah, jiu-jitsu helps me a lot. I quit a lot of things, bad habits. Um, my name Dewey
Mhm.
was given to me DUI. So I don't know if you know, I do other things, like I'm a director and an artist. I make music, and my
Mhm.
stage name is DUI. And for the longest, I struggled with alcohol. For the longest time, I struggled with alcohol. I struggled with the substance abuse, but mainly just alcohol. 'Cause alcohol was the reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
But you lie to yourself. Oh, I'll just drink a beer, drink two, you know, drink a shot, or. But eventually, it becomes something that's like you're doing it. It's like a revolving door. You know,
Mhm.
you can't get out of it. It's like a cycle. It's like a mad, crazy cycle where you just, you know, and it's dangerous. It's so bad for us,
Yeah.
because it messes us up so much in our minds. We'll justify things, or we'll say, "Oh, I'm not a drunk. I'm not. I don't have a problem. I'm not angry." You know,
Yeah.
and but it's so clear now for me looking back that I did have a problem, you know. But then I didn't see it as a problem. I thought I was just fine. And whenever we would do the social stuff, I would drink. When I would come home, I would drink. Uh, so yeah, so training doesn't really go well. Not if you're training like I do
Yeah.
with drinking. It just doesn't mix, right? You're either gonna be gassing, because alcohol takes away the oxygen from your blood.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's like you're underwater drowning, and not just that, you're sweating. Like I would sweat. I'd be that sweaty guy, the one they talk about. Like
Yeah.
no one wants to roll with them, because I still sweat, but not as much as I used to. And I don't stink anymore. Like I was stinky pea guy, smell like tequila and rum.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Um, I had to stop
Yeah.
because I was investing a lot in my body, and I didn't want to keep destroying it. And the more I worked out, the more oxygen was going into my brain, the clearer I started thinking. I was like, wait a minute, I gotta let this go. This is no bueno.
Yeah.
But I think when it really hit home for me, because I was still drinking here and there, and my professor would smell it, but he wouldn't say anything. And one time I was speaking to him, and his name is Majid Al Kush, and he's a professor over at Team Mongoose in
Yeah.
Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
He said, "I can tell when my students drink the night before and come into class." He said, "I can smell it on them." So I was like, huh, he's talking about me.
Calling you out.
Yeah. Anyways, make a long story short, a little bit after that, I just quit. I got ill. I had vertigo real bad. I struggle. I don't know if you know about vertigo. I've been struggling a
Somewhere.
lot with vertigo. So I want to talk about vertigo, jujitsu and vertigo. If
Okay.
anybody knows about that, just have them DM me or just reach out. Yeah, it's crazy. Like the room starts spinning,
Hmm.
and so I even went to the ER over it. Come to find
Wow.
out, I was dehydrated, and I had a crook in my neck. I'd slept wrong, and whatever was going on, it was putting a lot of pressure on my ear, and so it was making the room spin.
Right.
And then,
Ooh.
so recently, we have real bad pollen here because I'm in the South. I'm in Georgia,
Mhm.
and the pollen. I'm in this room, and it's full of plants. But the pollen from the trees, you know, it messes me up. And so I think by having a lot of inflammation, I think that was messing my ear recently, and it's giving me real bad vertigo. Even to the point that last Saturday, we usually get together and shoot the Cholo content. I was able to shoot like 2 or 3 videos. I couldn't and we normally shoot more, but I got sick midway,
Hmm.
and the room started spinning. I had to call, come pick me up, and I threw up. So it's
Mm.
bad. But again, I think it was just the pollen. I think I'm really, really allergic to it. But
I
yeah,
am. Yeah. I just want to say I can relate to that because I don't know what it is, but I think this maybe runs in my family, but it's
mm,
when I'm like congested and I'm like blowing my nose a lot, like I notice like with my ear, like I'll get vertigo. I'll have that experience that you just
yeah,
described and
yeah,
get nauseous and stuff like that. And being in a higher altitude, like when I started coming to Colorado just to visit, I'd get sick every single time. Oh my goodness. It
yeah.
just was
The altitude, right? It does something
right.
to your ears, right? Like make your ear pop a little bit.
Sometimes like it'll make it where it can't pop.
Mm.
And it was
Also, to make that
incredibly
underwater.
yeah, like I couldn't pop it and it was painful. Like even
Mm.
when it started to pop, it would be really painful. But like I would get so I don't know, affected by the altitude that I couldn't drive. Like I couldn't see straight.
Mm.
Everything would be spinning, so I couldn't drive. I'd have to pull over.
Yeah, yeah, same thing with me. Yeah.
And I couldn't walk around because I was just so sensitive to the environment. Now that I'm here, I'm acclimated to the environment and I try to drink
Okay.
enough water and stuff, but if I go to like I'm like at 5,500 feet now or something. If I go to
Wow.
like 75, I'm gonna feel it. And there's places
Okay.
that are 11,000,
Wow.
14,000 feet that are like, okay, we're like in space. Like it's
Yeah.
a little,
Yeah.
you got to take it a little bit
You get
but
a little by increments. Yeah, you gotta get
yeah,
used to the altitude. That's
yeah.
interesting. I go in a plane and I'm chewing gum the whole time because
Mhm.
it's
Same
like
thing.
yeah. So and I've been to Colorado a few times, not for leisure or anything, just like when we're doing the touring and when we do the CholoMMA stuff. Well, for whatever reason, it'll take us there and like a layover or a stop, and
Mhm.
then goes over to the West Coast. And then on the way back, sometimes it does the same thing. I don't know why. I guess the airlines do it that way.
Well, so Denver and Dallas, they're both international airports. So they're like, I don't know, like top 5 busiest airports in the US.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
how Atlanta is. Yeah, Hartsfield. Yeah.
yeah, Atlanta's another one.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's probably why there's layovers here. And anyway,
Okay. I was like, just go, take me straight. But then,
right.
we need to fly first class. Is what we need to do. Because we're getting ready to go back again, uh, out west soon this year. And we have a lot of gyms, a lot of stops. We're trying to get our itinerary together, and it's gonna be fun. Stay tuned for
Yeah.
the cholos across the continent.
I'm really excited for you and everything that you're doing and your team's
Yeah.
doing. Like, I'd like to meet all of you. I know I've brought it up before, but when that seems feasible, we should do that.
Okay. Okay. If we're ever out in Colorado way, I'll hit you up. We could do that training session. You talking about the
Sure,
techniques?
sure. Or I can also come to you, you know,
Okay,
whatever
cool.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if you're out this way, definitely hit us up. I'm in Lawrenceville, Mike's in Marietta, and Junior's in Buford. So it's like a triangle. Well, wait, this is a triangle. And we
you
kind
can
of
make
just
a
meet in the
triangle
middle,
in a lot of ways. Okay.
right?
Um, triangles
Yeah,
and jujitsu. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. That's how you see the submission at first, at least me. I was like, where's the triangle? Where's the point sticking at? Where's the elbow? You know,
Mm-hmm.
where's the leg? So funny. So how long have you trained before? For how long?
Um,
Jiu-jitsu. I know you did all these martial arts.
so well, but I started all of them at the same time. So I didn't train as a kid. I didn't
Okay.
train earlier than now, but I think it's been about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
with that injury. But I was just
wow.
going ham. I was just going
Go
hard.
ahead. Yeah. So I train. I'm very blessed because my professor is a black belt judo as well. So he's
Nice.
also black belt jiu-jitsu, but he teaches judo. So we start from standing. Ain't no butt scooting here. But it's funny because you get so much out of judo and you can implement it in your jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
Even from sitting down, even from on the ground, like from being like you can do so many things, setups, grip breaks, things like that. Just helps really good. Judo is I like judo a lot. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. It just goes with it's all jujitsu, you know. It's just different parts of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't
I'm
really
really
gotten into the striking of it, but I
That's
will.
fun. I love
And then we could
striking.
do that match.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
In a
I got
ring.
trained. I got hit the bag.
I I'm really grateful that I was able to train in wrestling for as long as I did. And I had two amazing wrestling coaches that are now both on the East Coast. They both said it's too cold here. I think one of them, Veronica, which I think she'll come on my show, but I think she's in North Carolina, and she went and got married. So it was
Nice.
her and her fiance at the time, and then I had another wrestling coach that just moved his family out. I think he's in Florida, so
Wow,
East Coast getting on my people.
that's right.
I have to like spend a little bit more time because I'm going to start talking about mental health now. But I
Okay,
want to talk a little bit about addiction because
okay.
I mean, the world is in a state of chaos, and we're just like coming out of, I guess the hardest part of COVID, and
Yeah,
um, I I just want to say a few things about it because um, my take on it, my family history, there's tons of addiction in my family history, and I
right,
think
right.
in most
Yeah,
black
most
families,
most
most people
families.
of
Yeah.
color,
Oh,
families.
anybody, yes.
Right, right.
Hmm.
But I want this to kind of be a safe space for anybody to talk about that because um, addiction really kind of communicates that you're bad, like it's a very shaming experience because society just doesn't see you as a person. They kind of isolate you and why don't you even with homelessness, like why don't you get a
Mm,
job, like it's just kind of dehumanizes a
yes.
person. And I don't see substances as something that's bad. I
Mm,
think it's the behavior around it, I don't ever want to say that people can't use drugs because which drugs? What are we talking about? What
Right.
are you talking about? The illegal ones? Okay.
Right.
Are
Right.
we talking about the prescription drugs that are now killing more
Mm,
people than ever? Fentanyl
absolutely.
and,
Right.
and now I'm a ketamine provider, assisted psychotherapist. Like, there is a use for drugs. There has to be a place for them. All mammals use some sort of substances, if you didn't know that, including birds.
Mm,
So I feel like changing the language, changing the way that we view drugs and
mm,
our human lives, like, it's part of our human nature to try to find some sort of relief. And
right.
perhaps we just need to find some more compassion, because that's what people are doing when
Mm-hmm.
they're using substances. They're trying to find some relief from
Relief. Yeah,
pain.
I agree. I agree. So with me, the the alcohol, it wasn't really so much. It wasn't it wasn't hurting me so much as hurting the people around me,
Yeah,
if that makes any
it
sense.
does. Yeah.
Um, but it was hurting me because obviously it's bad for you health wise if you're doing
Mhm.
it, in large quantities. But I feel like I could have, continued drinking. But the things that are actions and our habits, they don't just affect us, they affect those nearest to us. In my case, I have kids.
Mhm.
So kids require a little bit of time. Even now, I can hear them. They're playing right now. Jiu-jitsu time. Um, but just the habits, I could spend my time with them playing, or I can be around them drinking.
Yeah.
It's big difference there.
Yeah.
And then if they see me drinking, sitting around, not doing anything, or even if I'm just hanging out with other people, I'm not hanging out with them.
Yeah.
I'm not really pouring into them. So I think it was just something that I was doing that just really had to go away in order for me to really step into the role of a really loving, caring father. I couldn't do both, you know, because it was really hindering me from being present. It was
Yeah.
hindering me from being involved in their day-to-day things and just in their lives, things like help me with homework,
Yeah.
or help me find something with my shoes, or let's play, let's sit down, talk. Those things are important for children. And let's not even talk about you know relationship, marriage, that it's just you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's just, in life, we have to give something up. We have to sacrifice. We have to do a little better. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against anything, um, but I am against abuse in any form. If we're
Mhm.
eating too much, it's bad.
Mhm.
I think it's terrible to eat too much. The wrong foods, especially the wrong foods. If you're smoking too much, if you're drinking too much, if you're, working too much,
Oh my
I
goodness.
think it,
Yeah.
in life is just it has to be balance, and then each individual has to look inside and say, hey, what am I neglecting, what am I not doing, the things that I'm putting off, the things that I am ignoring, and I'm working so
Mhm.
hard and I'm avoiding. Maybe the house needs cleaning, maybe your car needs washing, maybe you just need to go for a walk at the park, you know or meet up with someone, or go see someone you've been meaning to say what's up to. um yeah, so if I do that, then I'm not gonna do the things that I want to do. So
Sure.
we live a little happier too. It's very rewarding to do something for someone else, and not just be so inside of our own heads all the
Yeah.
time. Because my daughter, she's in college, my oldest.
Oh wow. I couldn't
Yeah,
tell. You had a
she's
daughter in college. Yeah.
yeah, she's in college, and she's almost done. She's in an honors program.
Awesome.
She's almost done with her first year. She's getting ready to start her second year. She's picking out her classes, and she was a little overwhelmed about her schedule. And I told her, I said, don't worry about it, because it's not here right now, and it's really causing you a lot of grief. It's just making you all upset. Don't worry about it right when the time comes, we'll deal with it, whatever we have to do. Split a day, 2 days, go in the evening, whatever it is, we'll make it do what it do. But don't worry about it. It's gonna affect you all the way up until then, as opposed to just giving it to God and just waiting until the day of. Then you figure it out.
Yeah.
Because if we live in our heads so much, we're gonna miss everything, the whole journey. You're
Yeah.
gonna miss the beautiful things, the ride, you know?
You're speaking directly to me. Cuz yeah, addiction doesn't just come in the form of substances. It's our behaviors. So it's like our behaviors, our relationships,
Mm,
our relationship to substance, my relationship with myself has had to be reevaluated because I work all the time.
mm,
And it's just this trauma response of I need to be perfect. I mean, I listed all of the credential, all of the like it's still part of me. It's still like I need to be the best. It's in my
mhm,
subconscious. But you can't just overwork yourself and never give yourself the time to rest and to reflect and what did I learn. I'm just constantly reading things and listening to things, and it's like that's a beautiful experience.
yeah,
But if you don't ever take a minute just to actually enjoy it,
mm,
then you're just going through it. Like, what did
yeah,
you learn from that book you just read? Like,
right, right.
like
Gotta read
write
it again.
something. Right, and that's a huge
Yeah,
life lesson, just to take some time to rest. I have it literally written right in front of me. It says, what does this say? Oh, to change your task if you get tired, you need to prioritize rest.
mhm.
Sometimes doing nothing is doing something.
That's right, that's right.
You
Yeah,
have
I
to.
take every day. This is what I do. Every day is an adventure. You know that song says, "Hey, hey, hey, I'm on vacation every single day, 'cause I love
No,
my occupation." You
I'm
never heard
sorry.
it?
No, I've never heard
It's
of
the
that song. Sorry.
occupation song. It's
Dang.
hilarious. Look it up. It says,
Okay.
"Hey, hey, hey, I'm on vacation every single day 'cause I love my occupation." That's me. Every day I'm on vacation, and every day is an adventure, and I don't look at it like work. It's not work if you love what you do.
Yeah.
Like waking up in the morning, getting the kids ready for school, that's not work. I love
Yeah.
doing that. I love
Yeah.
messing with them early in the morning when they're all cranky and groggy. Um, Even making them food, breakfast, it's not work.
Yeah.
Going to work is not work because I meet different people every day. I met you today, so so it's not work. I think same thing with words, with the meanings that we have given them, and just like what it means is not really what it means. We say work, and we're like, oh, no one wants to work. I
Yeah.
hate Mondays. That's what everyone says, 'cause usually that's the first day of the week for working. But I mean, Mondays to me are great. Tuesdays, Wednesday, every day. And when you've lived the way I've lived and gone through what I've gone through, you start really appreciating everything, even the salt, even the salt.
Yeah.
Um, yes, salt is so important. It just we take it for granted. you know.
You need
But every
salt to
day,
make things taste good.
yes, it
Salt
enhances
is
the
needed. It
flavor.
does, yeah.
Yes, you need it for baking. You need it for cooking. You just need it in life. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And we have to say salty. You know, we gotta get other people. Um, we gotta get them going. You know, a lot of people they're kind of stagnant a little bit. We gotta get them flowing,
Mhm.
get them out of their comfort zone, shake them up a little bit. And yeah, that's what we're here for right now. That I think we were born for this time. We were born for such a time as this.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, I'm glad you do this. This is amazing, by the way. This is
Thank
really therapeutic. I'm like,
Aw.
I see. I need to get me another chair. It's the wrong chair. I'm moving too much. I have to get one of the ones that you lay on like this, and then I could just be like, "Oh no, please." When I was young, when I was
You
Please
know
explain to
what?
me why I feel this way. But I just gotta train jujitsu all the time.
I
Jujitsu time.
maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just have like a segment of my
Right.
show where I just like I'm very, very comfortable practicing therapy. So like I want my audience, which is really consists of mainly men, to talk
Right.
about mental health, and
Yes.
talk about the mistakes that we make and improve ourselves and just I don't want it to be something that's just over there. It's closeted.
No.
We
Yeah.
all have mental health, but
Right.
we've got to do certain things to prevent mental illness.
Right.
These are separate things, but
Those are separate, right? You're
yeah,
so
for
deep.
sure.
That's interesting. I never had it. I never heard it like that. Where you broke it down that way. They're two separate things, right? Because I think I'm a
Yeah.
little mental health. I gotta be. I do all kind of funny things to myself. I'm like, everybody sees me they're like he's crazy, and even my wife, she's like, "You talking to yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was just laughing. Though. It's so funny."
But
But
these
I
are
mental illness is different, and I see what you mean.
yeah.
Wow.
We have I could talk about consciousness. I got all these books in front of me. I should
Right.
show you, but it's just our makeup. It's part of our makeup. We got a
Mm,
physical body, we have an emotional
right.
body, we have a mental body, and other
Wow.
bodies too. But,
Right.
people are focused on the physical part, and we just because we can't see it, you can't see
Mm,
your thoughts, it's still part of us, and to see where we fit into all of that, like talking to yourself. The first therapist that I ever saw in my whole life told me to do that. Like people are going to look at you like you're crazy,
mhm.
but
Yes.
talk to yourself cuz what is yourself, it helps you
Right.
to really identify um with the idea of self. Like,
Yes.
who are you talking to, when you're
So
talking out loud?
I've done that my whole life. I've done that audibly, like out loud and in my own head. I also talk to God in my head. Yeah, I talk to God, I pray, and I do it out loud. But it's different when I talk to myself because I know
Mhm.
who I'm talking to. But other people, I don't know if they do that or anyone does that.
I do that a lot, by the
I
way.
find it helpful. I think it reminds me to check myself at certain times. Like even certain times, I might blurt out something or I might forget or something. Anything could be happening. And I have to remind myself, "Hey, Dewey, you got this I gotta talk to myself. So
It's
funny.
so healthy. I know
Yes,
that, like, society is gonna, like, shame it's because we just don't understand, like,
right,
we don't have a good understanding of mental health, and, like,
right.
it oh my goodness. There's so much I can say about
There's a
that,
lot,
but
right?
I yeah, yeah, that might need to be another episode. You can come back on
Okay,
anytime, but
but I'm
I have
interested in all of that. I'm really interested in all of that because I'm I I'm a work in progress. I'm working on myself every day.
yeah.
So anything that I can improve on, any way that I can be a better person, better husband, better father, a good role model to kids, whoever's watching us out there. I don't know. I don't want to disappoint, and also I'm trying to better myself for me, so I can be at peace, so I can be happy.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice, and we have choices. I
Mhm.
choose to be happy. I
Yeah.
choose to be content. Um, Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I'm uncomfortable, but for the most part, I want to live peacefully, and jujitsu really embodies that for me. I have the most peace when I'm training, when I'm figuring out different things on the mat during the live rolls, when I'm focused on that one task. No other thoughts, no bills, no problemos, just what I'm doing at the time. And even then, sometimes I'm not even thinking, it's just,
Right.
it's so amazing. But
It's like
that's just me.
being it's like being in a state of meditation.
Yes.
It's not thinking, it's just being.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's how we're supposed to be a lot. And
Yeah.
we don't do it
Yeah.
enough. I think
Yeah.
we're just supposed to be. I think, and this is deep, I think that's how men and women were able to create all the masterpieces of the old times, all those cathedrals with all the stonework,
Certainly.
all of
Mhm.
the woodwork, all of the glass work, everything that we did back then had so much meaning, substance, had so much there. Now everything is just square and simple and flat and has
Yeah.
no, it's
A
not
lot of it
3D.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
linear now. You could go to like some of these old places, wherever they haven't blown something up or torn it down. You can still see masterpieces
Mhm.
that would take people probably half their lifetime, at least years to do.
It's an
And we don't see
embodiment of
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they were in that zone. They were so much into that zone, what they were doing, that they were just there. They were present,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? Obviously had to think it up and get inspiration. I'm pretty sure from God, because where else do we get all these great ideas to do all these things down here? And they had to have been, like you say, really open to receive that and to give time to that. That's how I look at like professors and people that are coral belts and people that achieve all these great things. They gave a lot of time to it.
Mhm.
It dedicated and invested a lot of time. So it was a lot of those moments like where you're just present in what you're doing, in your task, yeah, in your
Yeah.
duty. Yeah, I like
I
that.
can so relate to that. That's my Buddhist background and growing up meditating and just I still meditate, but just I can see all the similarities.
That's
Um,
right.
I'm going to ask one more question about mental health, and then I'm going to ask my
Cool.
final question. And you can of course ask me anything, but I don't want to put that pressure on you. You don't have to ask me questions. It's
No,
just
that's
there's
fine.
just going to be
Yeah.
space for that. Yeah. So what role do you think mental health has in jujitsu?
I think like anything with people, there's always gonna be like room for error because we're
Mhm.
not perfect.
Yeah.
I think jujitsu is great for people. But again, it could be abused. There's bad apples. Um, then there's people that don't really honor the integrity of it, the bushido of it, the courage and the honesty, loyalty, all of these things. So many people they don't they take it for granted, just like we do with
Mhm.
everything. Remember, I was saying about that salt. And I think it's a privilege for us to be able to train and have access to jujitsu the way we do. Because from my understanding and from the people that I've talked to, a lot of people didn't have access to the information like we do. They
Mhm.
had to travel or wait a whole half a year for a seminar or get VHS tapes and just do all kind of crazy stuff just to get a technique in. We went to I want to say it was Tennessee, and the guy there, he was talking to about how one of the Gracies came out, taught the technique, he left. They didn't get all the details. They did the technique wrong for like 6 months. And then he came back and retaught it, and then they finally got it. It was weird, but it's how it was.
No. Yeah.
It's how it was. It's not like now you can go on, you know,
Gracie
on the
University.
BJJ Fanatics. You got, you know, YouTube University.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find literally a technique, rear naked chokes, millions of rear naked choke videos. You want to learn how to do an arm bar from wherever, you can. You can learn. At least you can see someone doing it and see an instructional and get information on it. Back then, you just sat around and imagined it or figured out a way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really think that people take it for granted now. And then it's so, you know, glamorized and for lack of a better term, it's just like, you know, Hollywood everything now, jiu-jitsu. Everybody is jiu-jitsu, you know, but not everyone is a martial artist.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. And I want to be around martial artists. I want to be around people that take things seriously, that have a little bit of respect for the art, you know, and that's kind of what we're really adamant about, not dishonoring jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu works. We do our comedy around it, but jiu-jitsu is sacred. We don't, you know what I mean? Realistically, you're not going to have a guy come in that doesn't train and beat or win or overpower a jiu-jitsu practitioner. You're not going to have that nowhere. You know, it's not going to happen. So we're not going to show that. We're not going to display that, you know. And I think with us having families and even early on when we did our stuff, we were saying bad words. And we would show different props that were, you know, beer, you know, nicotine, you know, things like that, and we had a lot of young eyes. And my wife was like, wait, you guys can't talk like that, and you can't talk about women like that, and kids are watching your show. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, people are watching us. Like, wait, we have a responsibility to, you know, to not just to, but to the people, you know, and to jiu-jitsu, and to, you know, to be, and so for me, like, even with, you know, in general, I think if the people in the martial arts were better at respecting it, I think it would be great for overall mental health. I think it would really be positive, something great. As long as we have these bad people and bad apples that take advantage of people, that don't teach people the way, right? Because that's what started it all, was the way. If we're missing on that, if we're missing out on that, and it's just competition, it's just this, it's just that, then it kind of takes away from what we're doing. And then I think then it's not really good for mental health. I think it blurs the lines. And you have people that are really, really right now confused about jiu-jitsu, confused about MMA and just training in general, because we've lost the way of things.
Well, I have to say, so I gave you a couple of dates for our interview, and then you reached out, and I was already booked for that day. Okay. I don't know if you know who was on my show recently, but McDojo Life, Rob Ingram, was just on my show. So, and you know what he represents is calling out all these falsities, you know, all of these fake martial artists, and
he's an inspiration to us.
Yeah.
We took a page off his book, and we've been really doing that. When we see these videos, have you ever seen our split videos?
I think so.
We'll do we'll show them, and then we're doing the technique and what would really happen, and they're hilarious. We've got gone
are.
viral. But I like him. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing. But I just had to um I don't want to reschedule him, but I brought him up because
Okay.
we're talking about how people are abusing their positions of power and muddying the waters,
Yeah.
like what message are you trying to convey? And I'm sure you can learn a little bit more about my trauma story around my concussion, but I was just not in a safe space. My concussion could have been avoided, like I didn't get injured before, in
Right.
that way, but I had a lot of people that were fake around me that I was just giving just all of the trust in the world. And
Yeah.
that's part of my addiction is codependency, is just people pleasing. And, of
Right.
course I fully trust. No, people need to earn your trust,
Yes.
even if it's an instructor, and you don't need to bow to anybody. Yes, there's bowing in jujitsu, but you really got to take that concept in. Like, who are these people that you are giving some power to? Don't give your
Yes.
power away, but like make sure these are the right people to be
Yeah.
training you and to be in that position in your mind, because
Absolutely.
people are people, people will make
Oh,
mistakes, but notice these signs,
mhm.
like make sure you're being trained the right way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful. It's good to know that that there's people like you guys that are talking about these things and bringing awareness. I know McDojo's been doing that. He made it his life's work.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like it's wrong if you're teaching. I think it's a big responsibility. That's the reason why we're so like when it comes to the techniques, we want to make sure we're doing them properly. Even though we have, that little twist to comedy, the play on words or, whatever's going on in the video. The techniques are actual techniques that are tried and true. So they're techniques that work if
Mhm.
you needed to use them, whether it's competition. Some techniques obviously won't work in a street scenario, but we don't teach techniques for street scenarios. We're teaching
Mhm.
techniques for a practitioner. So if you train jujitsu or if you compete in jujitsu or any martial arts for that matter, this information can help you get a little bit more insight or just have a little edge during your sparring sessions or competition, whatever it is. You learn something new.
Yeah.
But again, teaching is a big responsibility because you're not just giving them information, you're also kind of guiding them and showing them kind of the way. So if your
Mhm.
way is kind of twisted, then you're not really going to guide them in the proper way. It's
Yeah.
mixed signals. And you can have issues and situations like unfortunate situations like what happened in your case. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Um, yeah, we've had a lot of issues in our gym, as small as it may be, because of that. You have one bad apple ruin the whole bunch.
Yeah.
And energy is important. Like negative people or people that are, I don't know. I just have a hard time with people that are really negative. I feel like if you're negative, it's for a reason. There's an underlying thing going on. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. But if positive people, and you help others and you're there and you're encouraged and you want to learn, teaching jujitsu has helped me a lot. It's helped me just understand better, but it's also helped me to get a bigger grasp of when you teach, it really opens up your mind, because you're learning.
Mhm.
You're teaching, but you're learning. Yeah.
It's an important role, and I'm glad that you're doing it. And I want to say that the comedy aspect is like what's helping you reach so many people. Like comedy is an art,
Yes.
Who's our leader? No, Joe Rogan, is a
Yeah.
comedian. He's a
It's a
podcaster and
commitment.
a martial artist. Like it's all part of, I think, being a human being is to express ourselves in that way. And that's
Yeah.
what makes it so relatable. And that's how I started following all of you, and
That's funny. It's
it's
funny because
amazing.
I don't even talk in a lot of videos.
Yo no los veo, yo no los veo, yo no los veo, yo no los veo. Me puse una gafa de gol, yeah, yo no los veo, yo no los veo, yo no los veo. Ahora dicen que son los.
Yeah.
It's just it's all presence. I don't talk.
Mhm.
I started out doing a lot of background work. I've done if if you go on my YouTube, it's DUI World. I've done stuff for all kind of music artists. I played a junkie on Meek Mill, one of Meek Mill's music videos. I've been on Ti music videos. I've been all kind of music videos, and I work with music directors. So I shoot a lot of videos. I work with a lot of artists, mainstream artists. Every time I play roles. I don't say anything because it's all, pantomiming, and so when we do the techniques, I'm just being present. I don't have to say too many things.
Yeah.
We're showing the technique, and we're in character, and it's all about it. People love it. It's
People love
amazing
it.
that
I love it.
we get to have fun. We're learning so much. I think that's what makes it so much fun for us is people's reactions and the fact that we're learning so much, and it's our journey. It's like a lifestyle. It's not work. You know,
Yeah.
it's harder for me to come in here and come up with music. I've been lazy and procrastinating. I'm like, oh, I'm doing jujitsu now. But I'm still acting. So I've got a few roles coming up this month, and I've been acting
That's
all
great.
year. Yeah, I've been on sets. I think last time, prior to that, I had another podcast. I had another interview, and I couldn't do it because I had a shoot date. We were working on the last day. I worked on that film for like a week, and I was just exhausted because when you're on set, you keep coming back every day, every day, every day until you wrap.
Mhm.
And I didn't wrap until I think it was a Saturday when I wrapped. Yeah. So I worked pretty much 5 days straight on set. Um, I'd go home and then come back.
Yeah, I hear you.
I love it, but it gets
Can be
crazy.
exhausting, yeah. I have a tiny, tiny bit of acting.
Okay, yay!
Tiny
You know
bit.
what it is.
I challenged myself to do that before I graduated with my master's, but I was on a web series,
Hey.
and had a small role, and then I got a bigger role in another web series, but I did a monologue, and it was, people are gonna look this up now. It's good, but
I gotta check it
it's
out.
just an FYI that I'm crying on camera,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and I really value film, and I have a lot of people in film and music that are in my life, but I had just experienced a death in my family, so I had all of that sadness there, and I'll just share really quick before I move on to the next question.
Powerful.
But I had just lost my nephew. And so I
Wow.
had all of that sadness to bring to that character.
Mm,
And I was talking about something that actually happened in my life.
yeah.
So um, I value film and acting and every part of that, and
Right.
that's kind of why I started making video episodes, because I want to bring, I guess, more character to my podcast. That, yeah, people are going to be listening to this, but people get to know you when they get to see you, and get to see some
Right.
of your work. So I'll put some of your work in this episode, and I just wanted to share that bit. Yeah. Oh, also,
Awesome.
I'm sorry. Also, music. I'm gonna start producing music. I told you about that. I'm
You
gonna
gonna
start
start
recording
producing?
I'm gonna start recording some music.
Well, let's work on something then, because I've got
Okay.
all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
I love music. Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
all kinds, all kinds. I'm a writer, so I've been writing all my life since I could write, and I write everything. So I write films, I write treatments, I write short stories, I write music, everything.
It's awesome.
I just
Yeah.
love it, and I haven't had a lot of time to execute some of these shorts, but we will. I'm This year is gonna be a year for really exploring new things because we're really opening up for bigger production now, and we're hopefully going to start traveling again. So, you know, once you start really moving around and meeting people, like, okay, you do this, yes, I do this. Okay, you've got, yes, it's written. Let's do it. Let's execute it. It becomes a little easier to do these projects. You know? It's just all about people. You
Yeah.
gotta have people. You don't have the
Connection.
people.
Yeah.
You don't have the people, you can't make it. You know, you can't
Mm-mm.
have it. Unless you could do like I Am Legend or something.
Yeah. There are still people there. They're just
Right,
different kinds.
right. They were all behind the cameras. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No, it's
I'm talking about the monsters. They
oh
were people, and
yeah,
then
that's
they
right. There's
changed.
a
Yeah.
lot of people there.
It's
Absolutely, yeah.
terrifying.
I could only imagine like makeup and all that, hair, makeup, and wardrobe. Crazy, crazy for those films.
Shooting those scenes. Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah. Atlanta's like popping, so if you want to come out here and act, yeah, there's a lot of work. I have a small role coming up, so we'll see. And I've got some lines, so hope I
Well,
can execute.
I'll put all your like contact details
Cool.
and stuff in the episode details. So, so people
Yeah.
can find you and follow you and stuff like that in your
Yeah.
team. But
CholoBJJ, if they want to
yeah.
find me. Yeah, this is how I am on the
Aw,
on Instagram,
that's so nice.
on the
Congratulations.
IG. Thank you. So this is my gift to me when I got my promotion to purple belt. Yeah. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna get a custom belt.
That's pretty cool. I might do that.
Yeah, I like it. You know, purple belt is the funnest I think out of. I mean, I don't know. When I'm a brown belt, I'm gonna still be funny me, and who knows? I
Yeah.
might come up even with funnier stuff. But just the whole play on like purple belts being late to class, and then them
Mhm.
skipping warm ups and all of that. I think
Yeah.
it's hilarious because I lead the warm up sometimes, and
Nice.
like everyone's like, "Oh, Dewey," because I'm gonna get low, and a lot of the heavier they don't like. I'm doing like cater walks and stuff all low,
Oh, that's
and
mean.
it's I'm just terrible. I'm terrible. Yeah, I'm not skipping warm ups. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
there.
they're important.
All right, so a lot
Yeah.
of fools in the pen, they always say, hey, pass the wire.
Pass the wire! Pass the wire!
Same concept right here. I got right here a lasso. And this fool's gonna try to pass the wire. His arm's like a wire right here. I take it, fool. Bicep slicer. I call that one. Pass the wire, bicep slicer. Try it, eh?
Well,
It's
I'm
great
gonna
talking
ask.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask my final question,
Okay.
and then So my final
Shoot.
question, is because the name of my show is Freedom to Fight. I didn't put my name; I put the name of my show at the bottom, which is so
I
strange.
see that. I see. That's good. If you can look it up.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Everyone
So
should know who you are, anyways. You're the host.
yes, they should know.
Right.
Just me. So my final question is, what does freedom mean to you?
So freedom for me, and it's interesting your name, Freedom to Fight. I have some fight buddies, and they couldn't always fight, at least not like they do now. It was really, it was frowned upon, and it was illegal as hell.
Yeah.
And and we've worked so hard. Now we can fight. Like we know we have a freedom to fight. We have a fight card. But to me, it means that, like, having those opportunities, um, and then being allowed to do those things that God put in our hearts to do, like music for me, for example, or even acting and directing and shooting funny stuff, executing things with my friends. We started during COVID and everything was locked down. And we had faith and we were like, you know what? Let's go. We literally got on a plane and traveled all the way across the country when everything was shut down.
Wow.
Yes. And we went to gyms and gyms were open on the low. And we're like, hey, we're CholoMMA, let us in. We're like, oh, come on in, don't let nobody see you, close the curtains, you know? And we're training and we're meeting people and we're encouraging other people. And some of the, like, we befriended so many people. Some of the coolest supporters that we have to this day is because we went out during a time where everyone was afraid, when people didn't know what was going on, and they were stuck in their homes. And we were out shooting content, having fun, laughing, and people were seeing us. They're like, "Who are these guys? And why are they having so much fun? Like, why are they laughing? Well, it's so funny, you know?" And everyone is afraid of dying. Everyone is afraid of getting sick. Everyone's uncertain about their future, their businesses, their jobs, their careers, their kids' schooling. People were afraid, but we were afraid too. But we were like, you know what? This is a time where we need to grab on to freedom and go and be free, like free to do those things that we didn't have time for before because our jobs kept us from getting together.
Mhm.
Our lives during the time before that were so hectic. We were all actors and we were all like had busy schedules, and it would have never worked if it wasn't for the circumstances of how everything happened, you know.
Yeah.
But to me, again, freedom is just that, like being free, unhindered to step out and do those things that God put in your heart to do. And when you do it, I think when you really find the freedom to do it, make the freedom, however you got to achieve it, I think it's so rewarding. I think it's the best thing for us to find something that you're like, you know, I did that, I'm doing this. Um, it's really freeing that way, you know. Yeah.
You got me tearing up over here. That's so beautiful. It's a
Y'all,
beautiful
it's
answer.
a real thing. It's a real thing. I can't wait till more people hear. You know, there's more to it, obviously, but our
Mm,
story is a powerful one, including mine. I know you wanted me to hit on mental health and things like that. I've dealt with a lot of things. I was incarcerated for 10 years.
oh, no, I'm
I went
sorry.
to I went to camp. So a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that people don't know about me and us, not just me, but the other guys that are with me. We got stories. Our stories will be told, you know, and people will be better off because of it, and they'll hopefully relate and hopefully can avoid making the same mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
I just want people to. I don't want them to see them make the mistakes. You know, I help. I help a lot of people. I don't want to help you after you. You know, I want to help you before you make the mistakes,
Mm,
because I think that's really what we're here for, to stop people from. I'm not gonna say, hey, there's a bear out back after
yeah.
after you came back. I'm gonna tell you about it before you even go out there. So that's my thing. I don't want kids and young adults to go to prison, to be
Yeah.
away from their families,
Me
to be
neither.
away from their loved ones, to go through what I've gone through. I want them to find something, even if it's not jujitsu, something that is is meaningful, you know, and something that's a good outlet, you know, something positive. Because if we don't have these things, then idle hands, idle
Yeah.
hands. Yeah.
I think everybody deserves that. That's everybody's human right, is to have a purpose. And so and I think we strip that away from people when we dehumanize them in all of these situations.
Or bring up
They
their
belong.
past. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you're
go
still the
get a
same
job.
person. Yeah. You're still
Yeah.
the same person. You never change. Oh, you're still DUI. You're still the same old. No, those are lies, and we can't we can't keep listening and believing lies. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta really stand up for truth and embrace truth. Like we're all special. We're here for a reason, and we got so much to offer to everyone. Look at the YouTube videos, like so many people cooking and doing things and so
Yeah.
many ideas. It's so amazing from all over the world. Yeah. And I
Well, I
think
think oh,
it's
sorry.
great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying I think that's what's really connecting us more than anything. The
Yeah,
fact
I
that we're
agree.
we're seeing how similar we are.
Mhm.
we're not so different.
Yeah. A
Like they
lot of
made us believe. They made
Mhm.
us believe for years, and we was different.
I think that you are you sent me an email response and you called me freedom, which I actually really love. Like I really appreciate that actually. But I think that you are an embodiment of freedom. You know,
Thank you.
you're representing that, and
Thank
I'm
you.
like still tearing up over here. But I'm so grateful that you shared your story. I'm so grateful that you are who you are, and people are listening to you and being influenced by you. And yeah,
Yes.
thanks for
Thank
coming on my
you.
show.
I thank you
And
for your platform. I thank you for the time that you give to this, and for being that person that we can come to, and and kind of just like you know exhale.
I hope people see me as that, that's what I'm aiming to be. So I'm
Do
glad
it.
I'm affecting
You're
you that
doing
way.
it
Yeah.
already. That's it.
Yeah.
Freedom, freedom, freedom.
Well,
Yes,
Dewey, do you have any questions for me? It's totally fine if you don't.
I do actually. I
Okay,
do.
okay.
I want to ask you about freedom to fight. Why the name freedom to fight? I know we danced around it on. I know I talked about it, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear why freedom to fight, especially knowing now that you had, a bad experience fighting. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Um, I growing up in Texas, I'm like the second to youngest in my family. I'm still kind of coming out of playing the role of the youngest girl in my family and like one of the youngest. Like, I think part of that kind of shaped my personality, my environment, like just kind of kept me meek. But I've always had this in my heart to be free and to give people freedom from pain and from trauma and suffering, just but to give that to myself, to explore the things that I really love and I'm really passionate about. Like people still criticize me, like, you're training in what? Like, how dare you, go
Well,
into the fight world? But like I came from like a holy background. Like I came from growing up in a temple and studying all of these philosophies and
wow,
meditating. Like I was incredibly disciplined. I didn't have the freedom to express anger. I didn't have the freedom to just to be as a kid, like,
wow,
growing up in poverty and I just didn't have freedom,
wow,
so I'm giving myself freedom to fight, but I'm giving myself freedom to do absolutely whatever the fuck I want to. I know I just cussed. I think
it's
that that's freedom
okay.
too,
It's
freedom
freedom.
of expression,
Yeah,
and to love, freedom to love just
yes.
everything. You don't have to just love the things that you like, but loving the things you don't like gives you freedom,
Wow.
to say,
Okay.
hey, I'm not that person anymore, but I can still love that part. I don't
Mhm.
like what these people are doing, but I
Right.
can still have love for them because we're all a part of this whole.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Thank you. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
voicing it that way. I think you're right. I think if we don't love, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, because we can't conquer anything without it.
Mm-mm.
How are we gonna conquer this individual we don't like if we don't love them?
The person you don't like, just by the way, is also part of yourself. It's in your subconscious. The
Yeah.
people that are harassing me and stalking me and bullying me just on a
Yes.
regular basis, trying to put me down, there's
Yes.
a part of me that resonates with that. And
Wow.
they are actually my teachers. I don't have
Mm.
to hate them. I can say what they're doing is wrong because it's
Right.
wrong, but I can also say, thank you. You showed me the things that I need to heal within myself, and I'm going to
Right.
get started on that.
That's amazing. Good stuff.
I always have the power, I'm always going to claim that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That's cool. I'm glad you shared that because I definitely I need to power up. We gotta power. There's levels. There's levels in life. I see people and I reach out to a lot of people and I see a lot of people and they're living life in a different way than a lot of other people. And it's because they are choosing freedom
Mhm.
and they're choosing to love instead of hate. And they're just living a different lifestyle than most people are focused on the physical and not the emotional, not the spiritual, not the.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I love these talks. This is cool. And it's amazing. My little journey, it hasn't been long. So many other people have been training, doing stuff longer. But I feel like in such a small amount of time, I've been able to meet people like you and just being able to talk about these things. I think it's amazing what God is allowing, what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no mistakes. um,
Cool beans.
I'm so, 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 so grateful that you came on my show. We had such an excellent talk, and I'm
Well,
gonna
thank you.
digest this
Okay.
for the rest of the day. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. Dewey and I cover a lot of topics, so yeah, I'm going to do a recap for this episode, and we can talk about some of these topics. Keeping martial arts legit, like dojo life. We can talk about addiction for sure, and your take on drugs and plant medicine and things like that. And jujitsu, martial arts. If you're training, if you're interested in training, I'd like to hear from you. So reach out to me. If you'd like to be on the show, reach out to me. I'll have all of my contact information and the details. I will have all of Dewey's information and the details and CholoMMA. And yeah, I've got more episodes in the works. And thank you again for listening.